Everyone's quiet. Just hanging in there, fighting for survival. This was my hardest ride ever, and I think it was the closest I've ridden like a pro. Let me show you why. I've ridden some of the hardest Audax 200s in the Philippines like Audax Cavite and Antipolo. The reason they're some of the hardest is because of the climbs. Audax Cavite has a total elevation gain of about 2,800 meters through a hot and exposed route with very steep and punchy climbs and high traffic volume. Audax Antipolo crosses Marilaki Highway, whose route has a total elevation gain of almost 4,000 meters. This Audax La Union or LU 200 kilometers has a total elevation gain of 3,000 meters. It's 1,000 meters less than that of Audax Antipolo, but it's the elevation profile that has the potential to make it much more difficult. Audax Antipolo's profile, pictured above, has its peaks, but there are also descents and relatively flat areas where you can recover. On the other hand, Audax LU's profile starts and ends with flat segments, each about 60 kilometers long, with the towering Bessang Pass crossings in the middle of the route. And these climbs from both sides really just go up. The first climb comes from Suyo, Ilocos Sur up to the Bessang Pass National Monument, where the first and third checkpoints are located. Garmin's Climb Pro detects it as 24 kilometers long with 1,376 meters gained. Although it is mostly going up, there are some points here where you can recover, something I've experienced when I last rode here with Rafa Cycling Club Manila. After reaching the peak of Bessang Pass, the route then heads down into the town of Cervantes for the second checkpoint. This is also where riders will make a U-turn to climb back up to the National Monument. The climb from Cervantes is shorter and has lesser elevation gained at 3.21 kilometers long and 982 meters high. But the route profile looks like a steady climb of at least 6% without any segments to recover. Plus, riders climbing here would already have the fatigue from the earlier climb from Suyo. I also wasn't able to ride this climb from the Cervantes side the last time I was here. This meant that everything I had to expect came from this route profile alone. It's crucial to pace these two major climbs because if not, you might end up on a 60-kilometer time trial just to make the cutoff time, which for this ride was at 6:30 p.m. It's like riding a hard mountain stage and then sprinting for the finish to win the race. Bouts of endurance that always leave me in awe of pro cyclists. Personally, I targeted to end by around 4 p.m. because I wanted to be part of my son's first walk on the beach. Will I make it in time? Good morning, it is 4:25 a.m. I'm on my way to the start line of the Audax La Union 200. So, just about to leave our B&B here in San Juan, La Union. It's actually by the beach, but it's still too dark to see it. The main event for the Audax this weekend is the Audax 1300 LRM, and it also has the Audax 1000 kilometer ride. I just joined the 200 distance because again I haven't been doing much mileage these past few months, and aside from that there's also the popular 80 kilometer ride. Wow, sakto sa start. Just about made it to the start. Oy, hi. As the ride starts, you must be curious about my setup for such a route. Given the route profile and the elevation gain, you'd think the perfect bike would be a lightweight climbing road bike, stripped of any unnecessary weight. But because stores would get far and few in between when we start climbing Bessang Pass, I chose to prioritize survival, which meant bringing more food and hydration. Which is why I have a top tube bag for extra food storage, and I was finally able to use my third bottle cage, which would prove very helpful later in the ride, plus my saddle bag with my tools and spares, and of course, my bike lights. Oh. Villa Elita, so we stayed there during our ride last year up Bessang Pass. For this ride, I'm with James and Paolo, who actually just finished a half marathon the weekend before. So let's see how they'll do on this ride. Points! Maximum points! Leading up to the main climb are rolling hills through Suyo, which you can think of as a warm-up for what's to come. Welcome to Zone 2 Zone! Zone 2 lang! Zone 2 kan! Ganun. Segment start. Whee! This is us before climbing Bessang Pass. So in the last video, I was told there's a marker here to gauge how far you're up Bessang Pass climb, and it's still here. It's that mountain. So the marker is, if you're already looking down on it, it means you're at the top. I think we're about 1/3 through that mountain, and around like that with the Climb Pro readings. Climb Pro says we're about halfway, and I think this is half of this mountain. The only thing I'm missing from this ride is a drone. Don't have aerial shots of this. Next time.
Last two brain cells. Let's go.
So this is what you get if you do a half marathon the weekend before Bessang Pass. Shitty legs.
Tulak mo na kami dyan.
So, climb process that we're about 2/3 up the climb. I think we're about 2/3 of that mountain also. Getting close. Last 5.7 kilometers. Short rest stop. 3 kilometers and 220 meters to go. Elevation gain. Just gotta get my heart rate down. We've been climbing this segment for about 1,238 meters already. So this is my second time here, but I didn't feel the toughness of this climb last year when we rode here with RCC, because it's more of a chill ride. It's a social ride. Kept on stopping, kept on taking pictures. Now that I'm almost trying to finish this without stopping, but I've already stopped like twice or thrice. It's as tough as it is beautiful. And I love that it's so quiet. There are no birds chirping, it's just silence. And the occasional motorcycle or truck or car. But for the most part, it's a very satisfying and relaxing silence that goes very well with this view. Last kilometer to the first checkpoint. Let's go! Hang out of the locals. At the boundary of Cervantes. We're gonna U-turn the town proper down at the bottom of the valley. Since we're near the top, I probably won't have a view of it there, so I'll just show that the mountain benchmark. So over there, we're kind of above it now since we're near the top. Around 500 meters to go, just over there. Gotta move this rock out of the way, somebody might hit it and crash. Go, lapit na. So we're here at the Bessang Pass National Monument. Checkpoints around it's around 80 to 83 kilometers from the start. We arrived here around 9:30 a.m. and what marshals here told us that the first 200 rider arrived here at 8:15 a.m. Then what follows is a 15-kilometer descent, which will become a 15-kilometer climb because it's a U-turn down at Cervantes town. And that first guy still hasn't come back, and it's now 9:49. They're saying that there are a bunch of 10% climbs without rest on the way back up. Good luck to us. On the way to the next checkpoint, 15-kilometer descent down to Cervantes town. Here already at the second checkpoint in Cervantes, and apparently the volunteers who are supposed to stamp our brevet cards just arrived, and a lot of people have gone ahead of us. That's why there was some confusion with the first people who arrived at Bessang Pass when they came from here, because they said there was no one at the checkpoint. So what they did was they just took selfies at the gas station sign to prove that they were here. Oh well, at least they're here now. 13-kilometer climb now back to Bessang. 982 meter gain. This hot sun, no shade. Let's go, let's get it. The climb profile here on the other side of Bessang Pass, the gradients are similar to the first climb on the other side. Now it's just that it should be easier because it's just shorter. Everything hurts, but now it's hot and fatigue has set in. Everything hurts.
Hi! Sarap matulog.
We just saw our friend Paolo, who's doing the 1,300 kilometer ride. We were wondering when they'd catch up to us. They started early at 3 a.m. but went south first to Agoo, then back up north to here. Well, we started at 5 a.m. and went straight up here. I think he's in the lead pack, I think. One of the first few 1,300 riders, if I'm not mistaken. Around halfway through the Cervantes to Bessang last climb. Everyone's quiet. Just hanging in there, fighting for survival. Everything hurts. 540 meters to go. 6.7 kilometers. Okay, more than half of this climb. It's time for a break. Ah, fuck. Okay, officially Mas mahirap to sa Audax Antipolo. Grabe yung walang pahinga na akyat.
Siksik eh.
Yeah. Yeah. Steady 7 to 8%.
Forever.
Wild.
May konting reprieve.
Yeah. What really got us on this climb was our fatigue, the heat, and the steady 6 to 7% gradients that offered no respite.
Pero,
Hindi ko maalala. Parang mas matarik dun eh. Kasi mas mataas yung sagada. We're already above the 1,000 meter elevation mark. And there's more shade. And the gradients are more forgiving. And we're back to the amazing views. .6 kilometers to go. 177 meters of elevation. Gain left. This way to MacArthur Tunnel. Ooh, something to speak at. Finally, the top. Cervantes climb. Ooh. Monument just a few hundred meters from here. Finally, here. CP3, Bessang Pass Monument again. Time check, 12:44. So that climb was mostly about survival. 7, 8, 9% gradients that wouldn't stop. It took a toll, especially after climbing the first climb from Bessang Pass. At least now, we just have to go down, take care until we get to the flats, and we're mostly done.
Hindi, kasi ang dami mong dala. Yung RCC nila, wala naman sila yung actually kahit
Everything hurts.
ano yung nadalihan ako daw.
Still the best bathroom view. We're expecting such a tough descent because it's so long and it will make our arms so sore that we took a full rest here. Pit stop. Sponsored by Team Masaya. Best Audax pit stop. Had everything. Have sandwiches, Coke, egg, gummies, water, turnips, coffee, everything. I think I didn't need to bring 3 bottles for this. This is us before climbing Bessang Pass. This is us after the Cervantes to Bessang climb. Everything hurts. Okay. After completing the descent, we got to the rolling hills of Suyo. Still a last climb out of here. And this is where our race against time began. Although we did have some tire problems, we also took it as a break from the heat and recharged before our long time trial. Back in the flatlands. Time trial time to reach the beach. Since we were already late and we couldn't make the last 44 kilometers in 30 minutes, we had to time trial back to the finish line to get there as early as possible. My stats show that for the last 40 kilometers, we averaged 30 kilometers an hour, which was already pretty fast for me given the condition we were in at the time. While for the last 3 kilometers, I led out our pace line and I was able to squeeze out threshold power and heart rate and ride at 35 kilometers an hour. All the while thinking to myself, so this is what a domestique must feel like leading out his sprinter for a bike race. And wow, pros really have it tough, but it's amazing what endurance athletes can do.
Yeah. Hello! Chance!
Ang ngayon ginawa namin,
Bakit?
2 of the hardest climbs in our lives. Tapos yun doon namin time trial.
Oo nga, nakita ko, akala ko nabuhayan lang kayo.
Ano, gusto ko mag-beach with the babies. Top motivation. Got in at 5:05. Yes, we finished 2 of the hardest climbs in my life with a 50-kilometer time trial. Audax LU 200 had a 30% DNF rate, confirming its difficulty as on the same level as Audax Antipolo and Cavite. And the BNB, and my motivation for really pushing the last stretch was to spend time at the beach with my babies while there's a sun. Got here just in time. So if you like more cycling content, don't forget to like and subscribe.